Trump is promising a vaccine by election time. Do we trust any information coming from his administration's FDA?
Hell no. Hell no. I'm not trying to be a Kamala because, Kamala went on the record and kind of laughed at him for, of course I wouldn't trust him. He was talking about putting bleach in our food or something. I don't remember what he said. But no, absolutely not. I mean, just this week, actually, I don't think we've talked about this, but just this week, so the CDC had put up a webpage on Friday saying that the virus is aerosolized. You can catch it through the air now, which they had never admitted before. The World Health Organization said that they've been saying this since July, that they realized this, and the CDC basically just kind of disagreed. All of a sudden, Friday, the news comes out that they agreed. I think people started thinking about, well, what does that mean for the economy? What does that mean for our schools? What does that mean for our policies? And then they took it down right away. I think it was taken down like this morning or something like that. So he's playing games with our information like he always has. I know Carlito's always been unhappy with the way the information has come out, not just from him, but even from Fauci. So, they're playing games with more information. And how could you ever trust that, this guy putting out this vaccine before election day, quote unquote, if he could make it happen, which I doubt he could, how could you ever trust that? I mean, no, absolutely not. I don't trust that one bit.
Yeah, one example, the way the information is coming out, they have made recommendations that the CDC made recommendations that people that are exposed to carriers of the COVID-19, they don't need to get tested. They said they don't need to get tested. Yep. Now they backtrack. Now they're saying they should. And it came out, it was reported that the original statement saying not to get tested, it wasn't really from the doctor. It was from other people in the administration, appointed officials that were pushing that message. There are people that are not doctors controlling the messaging in the CDC that makes me not want to trust them, and that applies also to the FDA. I mean, the head of the HHS, he admitted that he was accusing the employees there of sedition because they were going against Trump, just because they didn't just fall in line like little lemmings. And he admitted now he had to step down, but it was like, you have pressure from the top that you just do whatever the president says over science, and that's why I'm not completely, comfortable just believing everything that comes from the FDA or the CDC, depending who it comes from, man. It's scary right now, man, when you can't trust science sometimes.
That's why we are the laughable stock of the world. Everybody I talk to, all my friends outside of the US, they just like, man, you guys we don't trust anything coming out from the US because every day is a different story. We're going to have the vaccine by election. Oh, no, wait, it's March. Oh, wait, no, it's April. And then who knows? So every day has a different date. So yeah, I definitely don't trust anything they have to say.
The only thing I want to say, Carlito, to your point about science, we can trust science. We can't trust the BS coming from this administration, right? I mean, quote unquote science, if we think about it, we could listen to Fauci and hear what he has to say. And, if a lot of other people in the medical community are saying the same thing, well, then that may be some kind of scientific consensus. And that's what we need to do. If we're really considering taking the vaccine whenever it does come out, this is what we need to do. What is Fauci saying? What are other experts saying? What are people around the world saying? Because they're not beholden to these idiots in this administration. So, what is everybody saying across the world who is a reputable scientist or a reputable doctor, and then, kind of go from there. That we can trust, but not the messaging coming from this administration.
Yeah, and one thing that that got a little backlash is for saying that I don't want to be one of the first people taking that vaccine. And this is why. I basically agree with you, Izzy, but for this reason, it's like, well, when this vaccine comes out, I want to see what other people say about it. Not necessarily like people that are taking it, but other medical professionals, anybody that has tested it, peer reviews. And anybody that's in the medical profession that could vouch for this, that is not directly tied to Trump, then I'll able to give it more trust.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially from other countries too. I think that's important to take a look at what they're doing. Do they even trust our vaccine? If we're the ones to come out with it first, if that's the case.
Yeah, there was a great meme last week that said that we should try out whatever the latest vaccine is on the government first, because if it works, great, and if it doesn't work, then maybe we could get some new leadership. So,
Mitch first.
That's funny.
Mitch McConnell first, please.
No, to Izzy's point, how are we supposed to trust the administration that, for one, said we should inhale disinfectant as if Juul made Lysol Juul pods. No. And also, if you look at the stats of coronavirus that the United States has been reporting for months now, the day that the Trump administration took over those stats, all of a sudden, magically, less people had it. The numbers went down. Incredible. Just the fact that Donald Trump looked at those numbers, made it so that less people got sick. What a miracle. No.
And I think that's why they said they didn't want people to get tested, even if you're around somebody with COVID, because then if you're around somebody with COVID, likely you might catch it too. They don't want you to get tested so the numbers don't go up. And I think that's, the politicians and appointed officials overruling science right there. Luckily, they backtrack on that a little bit, but it's scary, man. You don't know what to believe sometimes.
You know what's the worst, the most infuriating thing is that if Donald Trump took it seriously from day one, if he even somewhat tried, if he did it, okay, he's incapable of doing anything properly. But if he thought about it, he would have slam dunked this election.
Oh, man.
If we were done, as scary as it is, if he even remotely did it right, and if things were working out, if he didn't politicize masks, that every scientist, every logical thinking human being understands, we wouldn't be in this situation. Fauci himself said, or not Fauci, the professional that went and testified in front of Congress directly said, masks will be more effective in ending this coronavirus than vaccines themselves. And then Donald Trump went and did a presser the next day or 2 days later and said, I called this head of the agency and he said, I told him, what are you talking about the mask? The masks are a lie. You know the vaccine's coming out. Where is he getting this science from? Where is he getting this logic?
Not only
he's
that,
making it up because it's
there was a plan for the post office to ship out 3 masks to every household that was denied from the Trump administration.
Wow.
Gabe, you know what I'm talking about, Gabe? You heard about that too?
I heard it was 5.
5, okay.
It was gonna come out. It was all set to go.
Yeah.
And the administration put the kibosh on it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to make mistakes. It's another to actively work against doing the right thing.
Great point.
So it's a shame. I think right now there was a Pence aide that came out, a former Pence aide that came out a couple days ago and was saying that at the beginning when the virus was just starting, that Trump really, all the questions he would ask in briefings were all about how's this going to affect the election, and that he was more concerned about his reelection than about getting this pandemic right and saying things that it's just a bad flu. When we heard the tapes a couple weeks ago that finally came out and Trump was admitting that he knew how deadly it was. So it's a shame that it's still a close race. It's a shame that we're running a terrible counter candidate to go against Trump, because at this point with his colossal failure, the Democratic candidate should be up by 20 points. And the fact that it's still within striking distance is shocking.
Well, Trump said he was glad he didn't have to touch those disgusting people.
Yeah.
His own supporters.
Yeah.
But, one thing about not trusting the science is because not trusting the messaging, not the science, not trusting the messaging, is because even when you have possible good activities happen, you don't know if you could trust them or not. For example, there is the Big Ten conference going to start playing football, which I don't think they should, but whatever. But they're going to play football. But as part of it, so they're going to have a study of the effects of COVID on the players, because they know they're going to catch it. But they're going to have a cardiac registry aiming to study the effects on all those players. But at the same time, it sounds like a good idea for science, but then you think, okay, are these players going to be properly informed? Are they going to consent to this? Is the privacy going to be protected? All these questions that normally you wouldn't care to ask because you would assume that they'll have ethical standards for all these things, but you can't trust that anymore.
Yeah, it really reminds me, we talked about this the other day of the Tuskegee experiment, right? Are these players really fully consenting to this experiment that's being put on them, essentially? They are the lab rats in this, and it's really unfortunate to see. Just for for everybody else to make a buck, because these college kids don't even make $1 off of all their incredible play.
And I'm not shocked that it's football, even though in this case it's college football, which some people have likened to indentured servitude or even slavery, because those poor athletes aren't being. But there's a way to do sports in a wrong do sports. You see several sports that have been successful. Probably most notably is the NBA. They've been in the bubble now for several months playing games, and they haven't had, knock on wood, since the return, there hasn't been one positive case within the bubble, and they're taking their quarantines extremely seriously. One player from the Houston Rockets, Daniel House, he just had somebody in his room that was not part of the appropriate bubble, and they knocked him out of the entire playoffs. Yeah. They said, "You're done."
Yeah, but she was a tester, right?
That was a sketchy situation.
It was worth it.
In the comments below, let us know, would you trust the Trump's FDA? What you think about the situation? This is a sad one. All right, let us know in the comments below.